So, hi everyone. Modern science, I was looking at the idea that the world's a hologram, right? And modern science kind of has accepted that that is indeed the case, that the world is a three-dimensional projection. And one, of course, of one of the properties of a hologram is that every part contains the whole. This is exactly in line with the teachings of A Course in Miracles, where he simply says your original error projected outward became the world. And think of the world now as a screen, right, between you and reality that you project your own errors of thoughts on, right? And every part contains the whole, right? Everything is whole. You rejected it by projecting it out there, but it's still completely whole, right? He says here, and I'm reading, and this is beautiful. It says, "You may be surprised to hear how very different is reality from what you see." Right? This world has nothing to do with reality. You do not realize the magnitude of that one error, which is amazing because you can't remember that because it was so long ago in time, yet in eternity it never happened. Right? But you can't remember that original mistake in which all the other mistakes were made. It was so vast and so completely incredible that from it a world of total unreality had to emerge. Right? That error projected from you became a world that is in every aspect the opposite of reality. It has nothing in common with it. What an amazing idea, right? That you're reliving that error every single moment of the day, right? That single error you can't even remember that moment. You're reliving that time of terror, right? That took the place of love. Now, in your awakening through your forgiveness, right? That moment, that error, that time of terror is being released, right? And through the release of these errors, those errors are being corrected, right? And although it seems like you're going forward in time, you're actually going back to the original mistake, the one that you've been reliving all this time, and in which all the other mistakes were made. Right? So it seems like you're going forward in time, but actually going back in time to the original mistake. He says, that was the first projection of error outwards. The world arose to hide it, right? Reality is now hidden from you because you chose illusion over truth. And it became the screen on which it was projected and drawn between you and the truth. What an amazing idea. That screen, that veil, right? That doesn't allow you to see and experience truth, now is being lifted. And when that happens, right, you are being revealed to yourself. So your own transformation, your own awakening is nothing else but the lifting of the veil of that original error, right? When the time of terror took the place of love, and every moment, every lifetime, every minute of each day, you relive that moment, that time of terror, right? In which you thought you were separate from Source. You lost contact for a moment, right? You forgot who you are, right? And now a whole world of unreality arose to hide truth from you. What an idea. He says, do you really think it's strange that a world in which everything is backwards and upside down arose from this projection of error? It was inevitable. I love that. Right? It was inevitable that it happened because what else did you think was going to happen? Right? When you deny your own identity, that is what remains. Everything is upside down. Right? But now everything is being retranslated. And because you've accepted your awakening, your transformation, everything is being retranslated that you have made, although maybe in a moment of error, being retranslated to serve the purpose of your awakening. So all the things that you made that were opposite to truth, that had nothing to do with truth, are now being retranslated. For instance, time. Yes, time is the opposite of eternity. I talked about that in my previous video. But time now is being retranslated, and its sole purpose now is the reacquisition of truth. Right? Everything now is being aligned to serve that single purpose, if you will. Right? When you awaken, you have a single purpose. Everything has to fall in line with it, otherwise, you'll be incredibly conflictual and fearful in your awakening. But if you allow everything to serve that single purpose, which it does, because it's the only true purpose it can serve, right? Everything is being aligned with that. And now, although not true, serves the single purpose. It no longer is conflictual, right? Every instant becomes the purpose for every setting becomes forgiveness, for instance, right? The purpose of every meeting becomes one of healing and forgiveness. Everything now aligns with that, even the things that you didn't expect, even the things that maybe for a moment rattle you, even the circumstances that uproot you, right? That discombobulate you, right? Even those serve that single purpose of awakening, because you remember, go, wait a minute, none of this is so. This has to serve that purpose. There's no coincidence that this is happening. There's two things I can do. I can forget that none of this is so, or I can just remember that none of this is so and step back and ask for help and let it be solved for me, right? It's the continual action of that remembrance. Hey, none of this is so. This is a dream. I'm the cause of this. I'm going to ask for help and step back and let it be solved for me. And in that, it becomes effortless, doesn't it? It becomes effortless because you've decided that it serves that single purpose. So yeah, it's an amazing idea. The idea that the world is a hologram, the idea that this is a projection, the idea that none of this is so, right? That you've placed that border screen between you and truth, now being lifted by your forgiveness, by your desire to know yourself, by your desire for peace and happiness and love and light instead of the conflict and the constant striving and fatigue and suffering of the world. Because those are your only two choices, truth and illusion, right? Happiness and misery. It seems that the choices you make are incredibly complex and have all kinds of complex ins and out associated with it. But when you see them as they truly are, you see that they're very simple and that you're always just choosing between happiness and misery, truth and illusion, time and eternity, you name it. And this then becomes a very simple process. But the moment you start relying on your own strength, the moment you forget, right, it becomes complex, it becomes striving, it becomes conflictual, it becomes suffering, right? So this then becomes a constant process of remembrance, being alert, being aware, stepping back, right, asking for help, and let that be. And once you learn to trust that help that's with you at all times, it becomes simple, it becomes effortless, and the moment you forget, it's the opposite. And we learn to breathe, right? We learn to breathe. We learn to take a breath for a moment. And you learn to breathe to the top of your head. Your third eye goes open, right? And your head goes open. And there's that light coming in, right? Because you remember. And you're no longer concerned with what the world is offering you. You're interested in what truth is offering you. And that becomes your focus. So thank you for joining me here today. I love you dearly, right? Wherever, whenever you are. And I'll see you out there.